Good, everyone. So recently, Britney Spears has dropped a audio recording where she went into depth of what she dealt with while she was under conservatorship. And she posted it on her YouTube, which she deleted. So she chose to go that route by releasing that versus being interviewed because she said she turned down a bunch of people interviewing her, including Oprah. So she felt she didn't want to get paid off of her ordeal because she felt like she dealt with a lot. That's not even worth money. So I'm going to play the clip. I'm going to play it in its entirely. Here it goes.
And I realized that there's a lot going on in my head that I haven't really shared with anyone really. And I've had tons of opportunities, Oprah interviews, to go on a platform and share hardships or just really anything that's going on in my mind. And I really don't think any of that is relevant to getting paid to tell your story. I feel like it's kind of silly. So I'm here honestly just to open myself to others and try to shed a light on if anyone out there has ever gone through hardships or whatever it is, just to put a light on it, and so that person doesn't feel alone, because I really know what that feels like. I haven't honestly shared this openly too as well because I've always been scared of the judgment and definitely the embarrassment of the whole thing, period, and the skepticism and the cynical people of what and their opinions of what people would actually think. I do think I'm in a place now where I'm a little bit more confident that I can be willing to share openly my thoughts and what I've been through, because I haven't really had that outlet to share completely openly for so long. Just scared of judgments, thoughts of other people and what they think or what they may say. And I think it's crucial for my heart and my head to be able to speak openly about it as if anyone else would. Well, the actual conservatorship actually started, I think, 15 to 16 years ago. I was 25 when it started. I was extremely young. I remember a lot of my friends texting me and calling me, and we were extremely close, and they wanted to see me, but by what had happened, I honestly still to this day don't know what really I did. But the punishment of my father, I wasn't able to, see anyone or like anything. So, and you have to imagine none of it made sense to me. I literally spoke in a British accent to a doctor to prescribe my medication, and 3 days later, there was a swap team in my home, 3 helicopters, and I remember my mom's best friend and my 2 girlfriends. We had a sleepover the night before. They held me down on a gurney, and again, none of it made sense. Literally, the extent of my madness was playing chess with, it was playing chase with paparazzi, which is still to this day one of the most fun things I ever did about being famous. So I don't know what was so harmful about that. But I remember my mom was sitting on the couch and she said, "We've heard people are coming here today to talk to you. We should probably go, to a hotel or something." And I never really understood what she meant. I didn't believe her. Like, as a lawyer coming here, who is coming here? Then 4 hours later, there were over 200 paparazzi outside my house videotaping me through a window of an ambulance holding me down on a gurney. I know now it was all premeditated. A woman introduced the idea to my dad, and my mom actually helped him follow through and made it all happen. It was all basically set up. There was no drugs in my system, no alcohol, nothing. It was pure abuse. And I haven't even really shared even half of it. I think the main thing I do remember when I was started was my dad's control. He loved to control everything I did. I remember the first day he said, "I'm Britney Spears and I'm calling the shots." And I'm like, alrighty then. My brother was a football player. My dad was really, really hard on him when he was younger, really abusive. And I think when my mom gave him the idea for the conservatorship and his friend, I think he just really like regrouped it and made such a really, really overhauling big deal out of it. And it was just really too much. I remember him always being in the office, and my girlfriend was his assistant, and they would just stay in there all day with the door shut, and I was never ever able to leave or go anywhere. My first job after the 2 weeks of being hospitalized and completely traumatized out of my mind, I did a TV show called How I Met Your Mother, and then I started working on an album called Circus, and started working away right away. All I do remember is I had to do what I was told. I was told I was fat every day. I had to go to the gym. I had to just, and I never remember feeling so demoralized and just, they made me feel like nothing. And I went along with it because I was scared. I was scared and fearful. I didn't even really do anything. And I had like a swap team and how, like none of it made sense to me. So since that day, I did probably 4.5 tours. I did an album, Circus, Femme Fatale, Britney Jean, and Glory. And then I started doing a Vegas show in Las Vegas. And I did that for 4.5 years. I do remember working, and I got to a point where, you know, because my pride in my 30s, I have to live under my father's rules. And, you know, the dancers are playing and drinking and having fun at nights in Vegas, and I couldn't do anything. And I remember just being like, my performances I know were horrible. Like, I even wore wigs, and all the dancers were doing all these nice, sexy head flip turns, and I had conditioner treatment in my hair and like these little caps over my head, and just during the whole show getting conditioner treatments just with wigs on because I was just like a robot. Honestly, I didn't give a fuck anymore because I couldn't go where I wanted to go. I couldn't have the nannies that I wanted to have. I couldn't have cash. And it was just demoralizing. So I was kind of like in this conspiracy thing of people claiming and like treating me like a superstar, but yet they treated me like nothing. Well, for some reason, I started to get a spark back. I remember recording Glory, and for some reason, I think producing and making music. And I went to this little Spanish house, and I got the fire back in my eyes for some reason. And it was at the end of recording Glory, and my son named it. And things started kind of taking a turn because I started getting more confidence just for myself. And I think with confidence, people kind of like, oh, wait, what's going on now? Like, she's speaking up a little bit more, but it might not be particularly a good thing if I've been quiet for 15 years. I think with confidence comes enlightenment, which makes you think better. And that's the last thing they wanted me to do, is to actually be better, because then who would be in control then? But it was really tricky because I had to just play this role that everything was okay all the time, and I had to go along with it because I knew they could hurt me. So I'm sitting here, like, my friends all drinking alcohol and having fun in these parties, and had no cash. I literally felt like a nun. My girlfriends from home came to visit me in a spa, and I couldn't even walk into the spa. And they had their feet doing pedicures in the water, and the 3 ices of bottles of champagne before my show, just sitting there. And I wasn't even acknowledged by them, my own hometown friends, when they would come to Vegas. And it was just, it was demoralizing, I will say. You also have to understand it's like, 15 years of touring and doing shows, and I'm 30 years old under my dad's rules. And all of this is going on, and my mom's witnessing this, and my my brother is witnessing it, my friends are witnessing it, and they all go along with it. And I'm like, how am I the one working here and doing all this, but I don't get the side things that, the good stuff, you know? I want to be able to play. I want to be able to have fun. Like, none of it made sense to me. Oh, the last show in Vegas ended 2000, I think 17. I went on tour, which a tour I was forced to do, but I was supposed to do a new show. So the new show came along. I rehearsed, I think maybe 4 days ago. I don't really remember, but I went to one of the rehearsals and I said no to a dance, and I was like, no, can we do that? I don't want to do this. And then I just remember everything got really weird and quiet, and all the directors and producers went in the back room and just spoke. And that was it. And I was like, well, I don't know what's going on. So we all just kind of like, what happened. And then the next day, I was told that had to be sent away to a facility, and that I was supposed to say on my Instagram the reason why is because my dad is sick and I need treatment, which was, I didn't want to ever go there. I remember my dad calling me on the phone and I was crying, and I was like, why are you guys doing this? Like, what? And I just remember him saying, it's not, you have to listen to the doctors. The doctors are going to tell you what to do. I can't help you now. And I remember his last words were, now, you don't have to go, but if you don't go, we're going to go to court, and there'll be a big trial, and you're going to lose. I have way more people on my side than you. You don't even have a lawyer, so they don't even think about it. So I did it. I went to the place. I was scared out of my mind. And none of it, again, made any sense of what they were doing to me. And again, I haven't wanted to share this because it's unbelievably offensive, sad, abusive, and honestly, would anybody believe me? I remember the main thing of when I was in that place, that my heart felt like it was frozen, like it was stuck inside. I wanted to scream and I wanted to get out. And I think by a needle and thread, it was the breathing peacefully inward that I missed the most. I felt like I was in a state of shock, almost like when an old person feels helpless and they're literally going through some sort of shock treatment and they can't relax their body because they don't have the answers of why they can't have their own keys to their car and put it in the ignition and walk outside, and their own security guards at every door saying they can't go, sitting down, drawing 6 galls of blood every week, weak as hell, and then calling, and my family is in Destin at my beach house. It didn't make sense. The main thing, I to this day, I kind of stopped believing in God at that time because I didn't know how they could have 40 people leave my house a day and me work from 8 to 6 at night. Be seen changed every time I changed. In the shower, no privacy, no door, nothing. How did they get away with it, and what the fuck did I do to deserve that? I couldn't even smoke cigarettes. People on death row can smoke cigarettes. I missed my AA meetings, although I was kind of forced to go to AA, and I'm not even an alcoholic. I actually enjoyed it because I thought the people were brilliant. They shared their stories just to share their story, in a circle of women and men who just are trying to be better people and trying to touch other people. I missed my AA meetings. I couldn't go in. I couldn't have the keys to my car, no cash, no cigarettes, no door for privacy. It changed me, watched me change naked every day. I did work 7 days a week. No weekends were off. They monitored what I ate. From 8 to 6 I work. Sometimes at 9 o'clock I'd be able to watch a movie. But finally, the owner of the whole facility that I was always texting to try to be able to go somewhere, just get out of the house, that place somehow, and he had to let me go because the Free Britney campaign came out. With all the pink t-shirts, I saw it on a lot of the morning shows, and people by word of mouth, and I think just by my fans knowing by heart that something was up. I remember one of the guys were on an interview on the street, and he said, you know what, I could be totally wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll be really, really embarrassed and I'll just go have a drink somewhere. He said, but I do feel like they're doing something to her right now, and I'm not surely what it is, but that's what my heart says. But the whole thing that made it really confusing for me is these people are on the street fighting for me, but my sister and my mother aren't doing anything. To me, it was like they secretly, honestly liked me being the bad one, like I was messed up, and they kind of just liked it that way. Otherwise, why weren't they outside my doorstep saying, baby girl, get in the car, let's go? I think that's the main thing that hurt me. Um, I couldn't process how my family went along with it for so long. And I mean, almost half a year, you know? And their only response was, we didn't know. I'm like, I'm on the phone telling you right now, I'm here, please. Eventually, by the grace of God and praying on my knees, I left the place. But I was still scared. I was really, really scared. And from then on, I had support. I needed a lot of support. And I found two really, really great people that would come to my house weekly and just help me with my mind, because I didn't understand all the therapy that I had to do there. But why have therapy when it's forced and in like a militant, almost prison-like way that like is where you're not even all there? None of it made sense. Well, I think my strength grew because I didn't reach out to my dad anymore. They were playing the game of ball and twist of, she's going to come running back to us because, we've scared her and we're the bosses here. But I didn't. I just stalled and I stalled and I stalled and I stalled. And finally, I think they just knew I wasn't going back. And I finally got a lawyer. A wonderful friend finally got me a lawyer. And he really helped me through it. To me, the thing was, I think the trauma of all of it and just the whole thing together and going down to how much effort and work and heart I put in to what I did when I did work, even down to the details of how many rhinestones are going to be in my costume. And I cared so much. And they literally killed me. They threw me away. That's what I felt like my family threw me away. I was performing for like thousands of people at night in Vegas, the rush of being a performer, the laughter, the joy, the respect. I was shaking over 40 people's hands every night before a show, training weekly, 3 training sessions a week, AA meetings, therapy sessions. My dad literally, I was a machine. I was a fucking machine. Not even human, almost. It was insane how hard I worked. And the one time I speak up and say no in the rehearsals to a fucking dance move, they got pissed. I feel like the scare tactic and how badly they treated me in the end, I think they thought I was going to come begging back to work again because they thought, I needed them. Because they put me in an ignorant, scared state of mind to make me feel like I needed them. And if you don't do what we say, we're going to show you who's boss. I didn't play their game anymore. I got on my knees every day and I prayed. I held on like a needle and thread to some sort of existence because they had made me feel like nothing for so long. I knew in the deepest, deepest part of my core, I knew I'd done nothing wrong and I didn't deserve the way I'd been treated. I do think the hardest thing for me was I wanted to use my feet and leave and run or go somewhere. I had to be placed in a chair from like 8 to 6 every day. I couldn't take it. I talked to rabbis. I've talked to grown men about it, and they're like, we don't see how you did it. Honestly, I don't either. And through that, I remember saying, I don't believe in God anymore. I honestly deserve an award for acting like I was okay every day. I thought they were trying to fucking kill me. I remember one time I was backstage and I needed my inhaler, and I opened up to my assistant because I had my phone with me, which I'm not supposed to have my phone underneath the stage. But I said to her, "You know what I'm doing." I was talking to a guy and he wanted to just leave the country with me. We had it all set up to just leave, and it was a secret relationship. And I said, my biggest fear was, what would my dad do if I did do something wrong? What if I left the country? What if they found me? And what would they do? And I said, I feel like they would lock me up or something or really hurt me. And she looked at me and she said, "Are you kidding me, Brittany? Your dad would never do that to you." And I didn't even do anything wrong, and he still did it. I'm honestly more angry at my mom because I heard when reporters would call her at the time and ask questions of what was going on, she would go innocently hide in the house and she wouldn't speak up. It was always like, "I don't know what to say. I just don't want to say the wrong thing. We're praying for her." I feel like she could have gotten me a lawyer in literally 2 seconds. My friend helped me get one in the end, but every time I made contact with a firm, my phone was tapped and they would take my phone away from me. And again, I get nothing out of sharing all of this. I have offers to do interviews with Oprah and so many people, lots and lots of money, but it's insane. I don't want any of it. For me, it's beyond a sit-down, proper interview. I had no contact in that place for so long, and my heart would just want to stand up in my family's faces and scream and cry and throw a tantrum and go back in time and do exactly what I wanted to do at those times. Yeah, and might even spit in their fucking faces. Why? Because the pain my family gave me, sitting me there all day and not being able to use my feet, as they watch their grandchildren run bases to base in a family neighborhood as if I'm dead or I don't exist, honestly makes me look up and say, how the fuck did they get away with it? How is there a God? Is there a God? Giving 8 galls of blood weekly, not being able to stand up. I was so weak. And my family's at my beach house. I was scared, broken. I'm sharing this because I want people to know I'm only human. I do feel victimized after these experiences, and how can I mend this if I don't talk about it? I have an amazing song right now with one of the most brilliant men of our time, and I'm so grateful. But if you're a weird introvert oddball like me who feels alone a lot of the time, and you needed to hear a story like this today so you don't feel alone, know this: my life has been far from easy, and you're not alone.
Okay, you heard that. So she dropped that recording on her own and then she deleted it. But of course, I was able to get a hold of that audio. Yeah, she really dealt with a lot. And it's fucked up that it's coming from your own flesh and blood that would do that to you like that. And this went on for 13 years. Like, they were totally taking advantage of her mental state and had her work. Totally taken advantage. She didn't have no access to her money or anything. And she even brought up during that time when she would perform, right? We all noticed that. Like, when Britney was in her prime, when it came to dancing, she had a lot of energy, but I noticed it was almost like she was robotic, like a shell of her former self. And I noticed that. And she just wasn't the same when all that went down. And basically, her dad was very controlling. He just totally took advantage, and so did her mom. And her mom was the one that assisted him in getting her into a conservatorship. Now, her mother, Lynn, dropped a statement on her Instagram after Britney dropped that audio. She said, let's see here, let me get to it. Okay, she said, Britney, your whole life I have tried my best to support your dreams and wishes. And also, I have tried my best to help you out of hardships. I have never, will never turn my back on you. Your rejections to the countless times I have flown out and calls make me feel hopeless. I have tried everything. I love you so much, but this talk is for you and me only, eye to eye and private. Oh, she wants to talk in private. Interesting. But yet, complete strangers, her own fans, vouch for her more than you all. Mm. And see, there are people like that just take advantage of the people in their family. They expect others to take care of them, have them living a certain type of lifestyle. And the thing is, she didn't need to be on conservatorship that long like that. Now, is Britney mentally ill? Yes. But that doesn't give anyone the right to abuse the situation and take away your freedom. That doesn't justify that. And if they cared about her mental state, they would have her working like a dog, literally. So they weren't that concerned about her mental state. So tomorrow, they're going to drop the full interview of when K-Fed and their two sons are being interviewed in regards to her. And from the transcript I read, the boys did say they do want to reconcile with their mom, and they hope they can have a sit down. They did say that. So yeah, that particular interview is going to be dropped tomorrow. And Britney, she dropped a song called Hold Me Close with Elton John. And it's pretty good. I dig the new song. And her last album was 2016. It's been a while. But this is the first song she dropped since getting off of conservatorship. And I always been a fan of hers. I always had a soft spot for Britney, you know. And I'm happy that she's off of conservatorship. And you know, I hope, if she hasn't already, I hope she can try to get some sort of therapy, because something like that, you can't get over that overnight. So yeah, best wishes to Britney. Okay, so I read recently about this politician from South Carolina. So he been responsible passing these anti-abortion laws, and now he's having regrets. He says he can't sleep at night because of an incident of a teenage girl not being able to get an abortion. And again, she had a miscarriage. So she was being forced to carry the baby. And mind you, there was 50% chance that she could lose her uterus. So these laws, these barbaric laws, are having an impact. Like they're forcing girls, women, to carry a non viable pregnancy. And at this point, it's bullshit. And they just want to control women. And that's all it is to it. And I'm glad the motherfucker can't sleep at night. And these people really think by passing these laws, like somehow that's going to prevent women from getting abortions. And it's not. There was another case in Louisiana where this woman was forced to carry a child that's non-viable, miscarry. And therefore, and mind you, not to be graphic, but the child has no head. And you think that woman needs to carry a child that's not viable. And it's not about life, okay? It's not. Because they have no problem of a woman losing her life because you don't want to take measures to preserve the woman's health. Really? Not only that, you have children and foster care waiting to be adopted. Why aren't these very same people who claim they're pro-life not adopting these kids? Like, these people are so full of shit. I'm annoyed. And this shit that's going on is going to cause a lot of backlash overall. Because even if you don't agree with abortion, people have the right to do what they want with their bodies, period. If you don't like abortions, don't get one yourself. And I'm sorry, if you don't have a fucking uterus, you shouldn't have a say anyways. How about women do what they want with their bodies, okay? How about that? And it's just funny to me how these people think they can control what a woman does with her body, right? But you can't do shit when it comes to school shootings and all types of shit going on in this fucked up country. Hey, we can pass laws when it comes to fucking guns. Yeah, free for all. Let's let everyone have fucking guns. But you want to regulate what me and other women do with our bodies? Really? Really? You're pro-life, but yet you didn't pass any laws to assure that there won't be mass shootings in schools. You didn't give a fuck when Sandy Hook happened, as well as what happened in Texas recently. Yeah, so much for being pro-life. Wait, check this out. You're pro-life. Yeah, you don't give a shit about the quality of life that children are going to have. Can't make this shit up. And see, that shit bothers me because, like, I hear all these stories about young girls, especially, being forced to carry a child for a rapist. Let me get this straight. They're not old enough to terminate a pregnancy, but they're old enough to be a parent. And that's the worst thing you can do, to force anyone to carry a child for a rapist. Haven't they dealt with enough trauma? That's why I say, man, this country is fucked. And it's going to backfire. And they're not stopping anyone from getting abortions. All they're doing is causing an unsafe environment, and people are going to get desperate. People are still going to get abortions one way or another. And we're just going backwards as a country. Okay, so NBC have decided to cut back on prime time. So basically, after 10 o'clock, they want the local stations to take over. And I think they're doing this because they're really trying to cut back and financially wise, and plus they want to focus on Peacock. Hence why they're moving Days of Our Lives to Peacock this month. So yeah, a lot of people are just like cutting back. And then I know CW, which is getting sold to another company, they want to cater to old people. They don't want to have teen programming anymore. So that's going to change. And I watched a program on Cinderella, the one with Brandy. And, you know, that was very groundbreaking back then in the 90s because prior to that, there weren't any Black princesses at all. So I like that version of Cinderella. And Whitney Houston was the godmother, fairy godmother, you know. And, you know, fun fact, Whitney was supposed to play Cinderella initially, but, you know, she got older, so she vouched for Brandy to get the part of Cinderella. And what stood out about Cinderella from the 90s, it was very diverse. Like, you had Whoopi Goldberg as the Prince mom, and that white man, I forgot his name, and the Asian guy that was the prince. It was very diverse. And I remember as a little girl, you know, liking that movie. Like, I watched it when it first premiered, and I remember being in awe because I never seen Black girls, Black women being princesses. You never seen that prior. And then we had the first animation with Princess Tiana that was back in 2009. But, you know, prior to Brandy's version of Cinderella, there hasn't been any Black princesses at all. So during that time, it was ahead of its time, you know? It was. And so it was the anniversary. And so, of course, I watched that program and then I watched the movie, you know, for nostalgic purposes. Because I did enjoy that movie. So, yeah. Oh, and another film that's going to be on Disney Plus is the sequel to Hocus Pocus. Now, that movie was out in the 90s, back in 1993. That was a classic movie. So they're bringing Ben Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker back for the role. Now, the original people, as far as the kids go, they're not going to be in the sequel. And that's dropping September the 30th. And oh my gosh, I love that movie too, growing up. So I can't wait to see that, and it's going to be on Disney Plus. So yeah, want to touch on that, the whole Britney thing. So yeah, I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.